Hello YouTube. Today is a video demonstration slash tutorial on how to install h-encore. It's the new mod for the PlayStation Vita developed by ThefloW. The guy is a genius basically. He has made it possible to mod a system that's updated past 3.61 um, to have a Hankaku. So this is specifically aimed at systems running 3.65 to 3.68. If you are on 3.65, that will give you the option to install Enso, which means you can have the mod boot automatically when you start the system every time. If you're on 3.67 or 3.68, you will simply have to run the mod every time you power on your Vita, which is not a big deal. It takes about 2 seconds, so not a problem. So a lot of people had trouble with this. The instructions aren't super straightforward for somebody that may not be excellent with computers, so I'm going to do my best to make them as straightforward and understandable as possible. So let's get started. So this is the official page of ThefloW. This is his Twitter page. This mod just came out on July 1st, I believe about 6 in the morning, and I was able to do it right at 6 in the morning. It took me quite a bit of time. I had a couple hiccups like a lot of other people. So let's get started here. We're going to open the link to the GitHub page of ThefloW, and it's going to give us all the files and detailed instructions we need to follow to do this mod. So you'll just be able to read about h-encore, the requirements. It's basically stating what I told you about the firmwares here. It's also saying if you have a PlayStation, like a 1000 model of the Vita, you'll need an official memory card, which I'm sure most people have or can borrow for this. We are going to need some files first of all to get this to work. So the very first file I'm going to get before I start is actually 7-zip, where it seems to work the best. I also have WinRAR, but for whatever reason it won't extract the file correctly, so I'm just going to install 7-zip. It's the easiest solution here. So go ahead and do that if you don't already have 7-zip. Alright, so 7-zip is installed. Now we're going to collect the files here that we need. Just to make it simple, I'll always right click on a link and open a new tab. There's about 10 different ways to do something. There's no wrong way to do it, so keep that in mind. That's just the way I like to do it. We'll download QCMA. That's a program that basically lets us interact with an unmodded Vita via USB cable. Great piece of software. So we'll have to just find the appropriate download link here. So in this case, we're using Windows 7, so I'll choose the Windows installer. All right. And it is 60 megabytes, so we'll take a moment. We'll also get the PSV image tools here, so let's do that. Make sure you're getting the correct file. I'll show you here. It'll open the link here. All right. So we are running a 64-bit operating system, which I'm sure everybody is. 32-bit, I can't imagine it would be any different, but this is the file that we're going to want here. So we will download it. All right, our next file is the package to zip here, so we'll get that as well. You'll just notice sometimes GitHub, if you've never used it, it's a little bit confusing, so you'll just go to the release part at the top and click on it and then look for the appropriate file. So again, we're using a 64-bit operating system, which I'm sure everybody probably is. We're going to download that. And a lot of doing this is organization, so I'm just going to show you what I do for that. And we're going to download the demo file, which is what makes this mod possible. It's the largest file at 236 megabytes right here. So that'll just take a moment to complete here. So I'm using Google Chrome, so everything is being directed into my downloads folder, which is right here. I'm going to try to make this as organized as possible, so I'm going to create a new folder here. And we're just going to label it h-encore. Not h-encore, Yes, it is h-encore. All right, let's fix that. So h-encore, I'm still waiting for this download. It's at 180 megabytes right now, almost complete. We'll move the other files into that folder while we're waiting for that. 7-zip we've already installed, so we're just going to delete this. Alright, so that file is now completed as well, so we will move it into the same folder. And just to make it easier, I am going to just work off the desktop, so excellent. So we are just going to need to extract a couple of files here. So let's start with the h-encore, the actual mod. Alright, and I just like to delete the zip files once I've extracted them. It just makes it a bit more straightforward in my opinion. There are other ways, faster ways to unzip things. I'm using WinRAR just for this one thing. But I know my way is slightly longer than it needs to be, but I've been doing this forever and, you know, I just do what I like to do. Alright, so we've extracted those files here. Going to take this, the package to zip. I'm just going to make sure it's in the root of this folder we're working in. Just makes it a bit more straightforward for what I'm going to show you. Alright, and for whatever reason this likes to double the folder, so I'm just going to go into the main part of the h-encore folder and I'm going to highlight everything and cut it and move it back a directory. You don't have to do this, it's just going to make it more true to the instructions when I do it. So once I do that, you can see the folder is empty because I moved everything back. I can delete that. Excellent, and we are ready to start the tutorial. Excellent. So we've downloaded everything, as you can see. It wants us to do the very first step. A lot of people didn't really know what to make of this, but it's basically talking about going into a command window and running this, which a lot of people aren't familiar with. So you can actually find command if you type in start, type in CMD, and this is a command window. So you can see it's not pointed where we need it to be. So there is a way of launching a command window from a specific folder. So if we go to our folder that we've created here, you can click the shift key, hold shift down on the keyboard, and you can right click and have the option to open command window here. So we'll do that, and you'll notice that it does have us directed into the correct folder here. So on the desktop in the h-encore folder. So that is a very good thing to know. Another way to jump into the command folder is in the address bar in the folder that you're working in that you need to be in. You just click it once and type in CMD and press enter. Same thing, it'll launch the command window with the correct directory that we need to be working in. So the first step it says here is you should open a command window in wherever you have the package to zip and the package file, and you should do that. But people are confused. This is the easiest way to do it. Literally, you just highlight the package file, hold down the left click, and you can move it. And we're literally going to put it on top of package to zip and let go. And it's going to do all the work for us here. This part takes a minute. It's going to create a zip file, as you can see the bitter smile in Japanese writing here. So this is where 7-zip comes into play. Right click on it, choose 7-zip, and I'm just going to go extract files and click OK. This will take a minute or so. It's extracting all the files that we need now. So that step had some people stumped, so that's what I find to be the easiest method to extract the package file or do whatever it's doing with the package file. So we're just waiting here. It's telling us that once it's done, we should have a folder called app in the directory that we're working in. This is a little bit different. We won't have that folder, but I can show you. Basically, we have the extracted version of this file, the bitter smile folder. So once it's completed, again, like I said, once I extract a zip file, I do like to delete the zip. You don't have to do that. I like to have some good housekeeping here. All right, so that is done. We will delete this file. All right, And if you enter this file, you will actually see the app file it's talking about in this part of the instructions. So just to be true to the instructions, we will highlight the app folder and cut it, go back one and paste it here. And now that we've done that, we can delete Bitter Smile because it's now empty. So we'll delete that. So now we can continue here with the instructions. So it's basically telling us to copy the contents of this file here in app PCSG90096. Wants us to copy the content, so we'll highlight it all and copy it. And we will go back to the root of the folder, and it would appreciate if we pasted it into right here. So h-encore folder, we're going to go into app, and we're going to go into the UX0 folder. It's the only one there, and then you'll see a little text document Vita path. We're just going to right click and paste, and it's going to put all our files here. Alright, and we can just go back to the root of the folder while this is copying, and then we can go to the next part here. Okay, it wants us to take the license file, so we have to browse to the directory here. This takes a minute. It's quite large. There's quite a bit of small little files. That's why it takes so long to paste. I'll just minimize it. It's going to copy fine. Make this a bit smaller so maybe I can see better. Okay, so this is where we're going to go on step 6 and copy the license file. So it says go into app, into the folder PCSG. We'll go in there. We're going to look for SCE sys, so right here. And we're going to go into package here. And it wants us to take temp.bin and copy it. So we copy it. Go back to the root folder, and it's telling us it would like us to paste it in h-encore, license, and then the one folder, the UX0 folder, and we'll just paste it here. And it does want us to rename it. So we'll take the title of the name and highlight it like so, and we will copy it. So I'll right click and copy it. You can also use Control C, it doesn't matter. Sorry, that was the wrong window. And we will click on the file, the temp.bin, we will right click and rename. Pay attention to this, it doesn't want the extension change, so you will have to manually highlight that, and you will paste here. So right click and paste or Control V, whatever you prefer. Once you click off, it'll say, are you sure you want to change the extension? We are sure. So click on yes, and we will go back to the root. I just like to be diligent about that. So we have done up to step 6. We are moving on to step number 7. So in step number 7, you are going to be installing QCMA. I've already installed it. So basically just install QCMA and launch the software. So in my case, it's there. If you don't have a shortcut or don't see it there, you can also type QCMA here and you will see it here. So open that. At this point, it wants us to launch Content Manager on the Vita. So go ahead and fire up your Vita, and you are going to plug in the USB cable into the computer from the Vita. We're going to load Content Manager. All right, and I'm going to choose Copy Content as my option on the Vita. It's going to take a moment and tell me it's connecting. Please wait, so we'll do that as well. There is a step here that I don't know why it's here necessarily, because it seems like it is default. But if you right click on QCMA, once it's running and go into settings, you may also have your QCMA above this arrow. I've just dragged mine down. So right click, go to settings, make note of these folders. This is basically where everything's going. It's going into documents, which is basically right here. I'll show you that later though. So it wants us to go to other, and it basically just wants us right there. It says use this version for updates, firmware 0.00, always up to date. It's already done, so just make sure that's correct. So we'll just click OK. And right now on my Vita, I'm going to tell it I want to connect to my PC, and I'm using a USB cable. Again, it's just saying connecting, please wait. Basically, this is going to create a folder with a special ID, which is specific to your Vita. Okay. All right, so basically we are going to go into Documents, and as it says here, we're going to browse into PS Vita, which is here. There's an app folder, and then this is going to create a number specific to your Vita, which you will require. So basically the easiest way to do this is right click and choose rename. You're going to copy this, so right click and copy, or you can use Control C, it doesn't matter. So I've copied that number. I'm going to just close this so it's not in our way. And it says here, we're going to go to this link. And we're going to paste our number here that we just copied from that folder. Click on Submit. And this is the key that we're going to be using to inject into the package file to make the mod work on your Vita. So this big, long key. You're going to want to keep this open, leave the key there. We'll move on to the next step. Sometimes you'll have trouble with Content Manager, as I have, and it will just say, like, cannot connect to PC. So in that scenario, I just turn off my Vita and I turn off my computer and restart it, and it works for whatever reason. Sometimes that happens. Absolutely do not panic if that happens to you. So this is going to move us on to step number 9. People had a lot of problems with this. I had a little bit of trouble with it before you revise this. But it's not too hard once you know what you're doing. So I'm going to actually not read the instructions yet. I'm going to copy this part of the text. So I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to right click and I'm going to copy. I'm going to open a notepad here. You don't have notepad, it's in programs. The easiest way, just type in notepad here. It's just easier. We're going to paste this here. I'll create a space just so it's a little bit easier to work with. Spaces between every line here. And then I'm going to go to that page where it randomly generated this number, and I'm going to highlight it and I'm going to right click and copy it. And then I'm going to go to my document here, and basically all you have to do is where it says your key, you have to highlight that. You can delete it and then paste in your key. So highlight it. I just hit backspace. You don't have to. Control V in this case is pasting it. I can also highlight it, right click on the highlighted text and just choose paste. It doesn't matter. I'm just doing this. It'll make the next step that much easier. Okay, so we've done that. Excellent. So it says change directory to the h-encore folder. People had a little bit of trouble with this. It's pretty basic though. We're going to go back into h-encore, the folder that we created, go into h-encore, and this is the part where you're going to want to launch the terminal window. Now the first thing you're going to want to do, because this won't work right off the bat, is you need the PS Vita image tools inside that folder. So open the contents of that folder here, and we're just going to highlight everything. I'm just going to right click and copy it, go back into h-encore, and I'm just going to paste it here. Otherwise it's not going to work. Okay, so we pasted that there. Excellent. Okay, so in this folder here, I'm going to open a terminal window. I'm going to click on, hold shift down on the keyboard, right click and open terminal window here. It'll open the window. As I said before, at the top you can also click into the address bar, type in CMD and press enter. It'll do the same thing. So that's basically what they're saying when they're saying switch the directory. That's it. Basically all we have to do is individually type these 4 things in that we typed out. We just have to basically do this. You just copy it. This is why I did it in advance. It's a bit easier. So I'll right click and copy the first line. In the terminal you have to use the right click to paste. So right click and paste and then press enter. This will take the longest, so while we're waiting we'll just take the second command and we'll highlight it and copy it. Some people like to type it all out, but I'm definitely not one of those people. This is the command that it absolutely takes much longer than all of them, which is fine. I'm not going to pretend I know what it's doing, but yeah, it's doing something. Right, so once this is completed, simply I will paste the next command in. Well, I really thought it was going to finish, then it just immediately start it up again. That's amazing. Little office space situation for you there. I've done this 3 times and I never remember this taking so long, but I guess it did. Okay, so we're going to paste, right click and paste. That's our second command. Press enter. Done already. Take the third command, copy it, and we will paste this in as well. Paste. Okay, and then the fourth command, we will copy this as well, and we will paste. Okay, so that seems to be complete. So let's look at our instructions here. Alright, the folder h-encore PCSG should now contain all these files. Okay, let's see. So h-encore PCSG, and yeah, we have all those files now. So these are app meta license saved out of these, the 4 that we just created. So excellent. It says back up this folder, so feel free to keep everything once we're done. That's fine. And it says here, copy. This is the folder you're going to want to copy. So come back 1. You're going to copy this folder here, and it's going into the app folder with those numbers. So you go start, I go documents, I go into PS Vita, app. This is the Vita ID. I open it and I simply just paste the folder here. So you're not pasting the contents of the folder, you're actually pasting the entire folder. So it should look like this, just as simple as that. And that is basically it for the computer portion here. At this point here, it'll show in the content manager. Alright, so once you have the folder copied here, I just had some computer problems, so I had to restart. So yeah, I'm cutting this video together a bit. So like I said, once you have your file copied here, you're going to want to refresh the database. So you just right click on QCMA icon at the bottom right and refresh database. Alright, you're going to want to bring up the content manager, which you probably already have done, but I'm doing it again because I restarted everything. So once you bring that up, you're going to choose PC to PS Vita system. You're going to choose applications. This is on the Vita, by the way. Choose PS Vita, and you should see a piece of software called h-encore, 243 megabytes. It looks like a lock with a blue background. So you're just going to check mark that, select it, and choose copy. So we have copied our PCSG90096 folder into the appropriate path here. Like I said, that's in Documents, PS Vita, App, your console ID, whatever that number might be, and it is here. First thing you're going to want to do is refresh your database. Right, this is a terrible video, but I'm trying. So you're going to go to QCMA at the bottom right as my Vita slips off. Oh my god. Basically all you have to do is right click and refresh database. And that's basically it for the computer part of it. On the Vita, sorry guys, you're going to choose Content Manager. I'm going to choose Copy Content. Right now I have it plugged in with the USB cable. In this case, I'm going to choose PC to PS Vita system. We're going to choose applications at the top, And my Vita fell. That's great. This video just keeps getting better and better. Applications. And we're going to choose PS Vita. And you should have this h-encore 243 megabytes. So we are simply going to select that by pressing the checkbox. And at the bottom right, you're going to choose copy. That's right, I'm literally like moving my camera. It's so terrible every time I have to click on something. So it says the selected items will be copied. So yes, we do want that to happen. So we are going to choose copy, and we are going to sit here and wait. It will give you an absurd wait time, but will speed right up, I promise. So right now we don't have any wait time, but it will get smaller. 6,000 minutes. Okay, 96 minutes seems excellent. We'll just tilt the camera. How about that? This should, in reality, take about maybe 90 seconds or so. So it just speed right up. The Vita probably would sit a little bit better without the USB port in the bottom, kind of like hanging on my jankety broken laptop, but that's okay. So we are down to 3 minutes, it says. That is excellent progress. So this is probably the reason why they say like that you can't use Wi-Fi, even though it does give you the option. I'm assuming in the event that you could use Wi-Fi, that it would just take a very long time to bring the 243 megabyte file through the network, or it may just not work at all. I've heard it doesn't work, but anything's possible, right? I definitely may choose to speed this part up. I think I probably will. So close. This is a long 15 seconds. This is where you absolutely hope a giant error message doesn't pop up right now, because that would be upsetting. Some people had trouble with that. I think it probably had something to do with incorrectly copying that key I showed you earlier. So they got to this part and got an error message and were not able to continue. So we're crossing our fingers that that does not happen to us. I'm filming this on a terrible cell phone, so forgive me for that. Oh, it's just kind of stuck. We're really crossing our fingers on this now. Alright, so apparently we're good because we did not have a problem with the message saying you made a mistake. Good. So we're just going to click on home. Man, this is hard to do with one hand. Alright, I'm going to swipe this away. I'm going to show you. This is h-encore at the bottom. Just trying to get a better angle on this whole thing. So So h-encore at the bottom, that's what we're going to use. First, I'm going to show you the settings here. So settings, start. I'm going to turn flight mode off because I don't need to have it in flight mode. This is a good setting you should always have turned off here. If you go to auto start, download update file for system software, just uncheck that, go back, and we're going to just show system information. So this shows you're on 3.68 here. Let's click on home and get out of this, and we'll run the mod really quick here. So h-encore, this is how easy it is. You're going to get an error message about trophies, just click yes. There is a series of steps you can follow to fix that, but realistically, the way this filming is going, I won't do it. So we have options here: exit, install h-encore, download Vita shell, reset Taihan config text. We're going to choose the second option, install h-encore. So we're going to select it and press X. It takes literally a second. In this case, we're going to download Vita shell. Although I do believe it's probably already on here, but I'm just demonstrating this for you. Alright. At this point, Vita shell did install correctly. So we will exit by choosing exit and hitting X. You're going to want to go into your settings. Your settings may be somewhere different, but go to settings, start, go into h-encore settings and make sure that you have enable unsafe homebrew selected. It's a little bit hard to follow my finger. Oh, sorry guys. Cancel. So yeah, once you enable unsafe homebrew, you should be able to launch anything. So this is just a demo. If Vita shell opens, it's modded, everything's fine. So my next video should be installing SD to Vita and plugins and all that fun stuff, emulators. So thanks very much for watching. Sorry about the terrible video quality. I appreciate it. Have a good day.